Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to What is the Perfect Paper? Well, I've got it right here. We're going to look at this one on the easel in a minute. We're going to do some demos on it, but I'm just going to talk you through some papers that I've used on the channel and sort of ones that I'd recommend if you're starting out. Now, if you're an absolute beginner, the best paper to use as a beginner is a cheap roll like this, or wallpaper backing paper, where you can just cut a slice off, practice your dagger strokes and your techniques, and then at the end of your lesson you can sort of throw it away, because that's what you're going to be doing. As a beginner, you'll just be practicing, and a lot of the time that paper will go in the bin, so you want it as cheap as possible. And then when you move on and your artwork progresses and you're getting better, you start to put your artwork down on better paper. Now, the papers that I've used on the channel, if you're a subscriber, you've seen the step-by-steps that I've done, and I've used loads of different substrates, from aluminium paper, I've done automotive because it's sort of the custom work, so I've sort of covered all the substrates that you can put paint down on. Now, papers that I've used on the channel, we've got a cheap one, $2.99. 24 sheets, 160 GSM, artist sketch pad. Now, I've done pieces of artwork on the channel using inks, and it's been absolutely fine, inks on this. And your airbrush paint's been absolutely fine. It's a great one to get some artwork down. If you're going to save it and put it in a portfolio, or if you wanted to frame it, it's absolutely fine. It's not bad paper for the price. This one, if you're in the UK, you can get this in B&M. You might be able to get this on Amazon. I'll have a little look and leave some links in the description. So there's that one on an A3, and I always tend to go A3. It's a nice size to work on. This piece here is A3. Just gives you that little bit of room. If you're working on a portrait, you can sort of blow your image up and you've got a nice size to work on instead of something too small. We've got another one which is a cheap one. We've got a mixed media pad. This one's 30 sheets, A3, and it's at 300 GSM, acid free. Another good one to work on. Nice quality paper. I've used this one on the channel. We've got another cheap one. This one is Sea White of Brighton, A3, 140 GSM, 50 sheets. This one's around £7 or £8 on Amazon. And I've done a lot of artwork on the channel with this, and when you spray on it, the paint lays down nice. Some papers, if they're too thin and you wallop the paint down, they sort of ripple up. Now, if you do get that with your paper, don't stress, because you compress your paper. If you finish your artwork and it's all rippled, if you flip the piece of paper over, get a spray bottle, very light mist water, and just mist over the back, lay it flat and just put a bit of weight on it and press it. The next morning when you come in, your paper will be nice and flat. It'll sort of level back out. And I've done that with these sort of papers. If I've put too much paint down, it just sort of ripples up a bit, because it is a thin paper at 140 GSM. So there's that one. Moving on to a sort of dearer paper, which is this one. I think these are around £20 a pad. A3 again. This one's a 200 gram, and it's a fine grain heavyweight. So you've got like a grain in this, like a texture, and it's nice. I've done pieces on the channel with this, and it just puts a nice texture in the artwork. Find this one really nice to work on. You can go really close on this with your airbrush, working around 20 psi. You don't get spider webbing with thin paint, so you can really work thin paint nice on this to get fine details down. So that's that one. And then you can move on to sort of dearer paper. We've got a Harder and Steamet one, a German one here. This one's a really nice one to work on. And you know, when you're getting sort of more of a premium paper, you get that real nice smooth surface, and the paint lays down on it. When you atomise the airbrush paint up very, very lightly, it just lays on the paper really nice. So that's a nice one to get hold of. You can get this online. And then we've got another one here. This one's a Schollhammer one, which is a big pad. This one's a 250 gram. This one's really nice to work on. I did the Bruce Lee Enter the Dragon, with the dragon and Bruce Lee on that size, and the paint just laid down really nice on that. And I could do a little bit of erasing on it as well. Using the inks and using Createx illustration, I could knock the paint back very lightly, not pressing too hard, because if you press too hard on some of these cheap papers and you're trying to do the erasing and the scratch backs, you just fur the paper up. It just cuts straight into it with the eraser and just furs it up when you're trying to pull the paint off, and it looks messy. So you've got to get the right paper if you want to start using like the electric erasers. You've got the ink erasers like that. You've got the soft point pencil erasers, and you've got your scalpels. So when you see the real fine hair textures where they're scratching the very, very highlights in, you want that paper so it doesn't cut into it. It leaves the body of the paper behind it and you see the white underneath. Now, other ways you can get your paper to be able to do that, you can apply different sort of mediums to paper. Now, one that a lot of people use is gesso. I've got a tub of gesso here, and you can gesso like a canvas, you can gesso over paper, and you can gesso over timber. So I've got an up and coming class. This is 10mm MDF, and I'm going to be gessoing these boards. Now what you'll do is with gesso, you will paint it on or squeegee it on, leave it to dry, and you build the coats up till you've got a nice body of gesso on your board. Let it cure right down, and then you'd get a block with sandpaper and you would block the panel down so it's nice and smooth. And you take your grits up to, like, start off on say 320 and work your way up to 2000 grits, so you've got a real super smooth surface. And that's what I'm going to do with these. I'm going to apply gesso to these boards, and then I can do the erasing and the scratch back techniques onto a solid board with the gesso. So you can go that way. Other papers that a lot of the pro artists use are synthetic papers like Yupo paper. They're very, very smooth. If you've ever come across, if you've got Melee shields in your airbrush set, it's like that. It's that sort of feel. And when you spray on it, it's like very slippy. And the paint will sort of like semi-adhere to it, and then you can just erase back very lightly. The paper that we've got here is illustration sheet. Now, I did a class the other day with a student, and the student picked a piece of artwork to do. And looking at the artwork that he sent me over, I was looking at the textures in it, and I thought, yeah, this piece of artwork's got a lot of textures that really need to be achieved with an eraser or an electric eraser. And there was some real soft highlights that you would need to sort of knock back with like a pencil eraser. So I had a couple of samples of this, and we did the class on this piece of paper that I'm going to show you in a minute. And when we finished, the student went, "Where did you get that paper from?" Because it was amazing to work with, and it really was. The paint laid down on it really nice, and we could achieve these different textures very, very easily on it. So we'll move in closer and we'll demo the illustration sheet. Right guys, if you hear a compressor kicking, I've got the little baby Iwata bang underneath my feet. I've not fired the big compressor up. Now I've got Createx illustration. Now this is what all the sort of pro guys use when it comes to your photorealistic work. So if you do want to be able to manipulate paint a lot easier, that is the paint to go for when it comes to doing the real soft erasing and things like that. So your paints will make a big difference as well. But we'll try the other paints on this just to test it. So illustration, we're running 20 psi, and I've got the Iwata HPSB Plus on a 02. So we're just going to drop a bit down like that. So you can see the paint going down. That's sort of like 2-3 inches away. See how it's laying down on this board? No spidering at 20 psi. This paint is mixed 1-to-1. So we're going 1 drop illustration to 1 drop water. And I find that's a real nice mix. You've got real nice atomization like that. So spraying on it, it just works. No spidering. at 20 psi, really nice. So doing the erasing on it, we've got a standard rubber. As you can see, straight in, and we can take that back like that. We've got an ink eraser, straight in, straight back like that. Scalpel, you're getting your textures straight in, straight the way. Electric eraser, for your real tiny little dot highlights, it works straight the way. Now if you wanted to clean that off and you made a real bad mistake and you didn't like it, isopropanol, alcohol, let's give that a little bit more wipe, and you can clean your panel up. Might take a few goes to wipe it because you're smearing paint around, but it does come off with ISO. So then you're back to a clean panel. If you get any leftover bits, you can just get your eraser and hit it with an eraser and wipe it. But a good wipe with, I mean, I'm using kitchen towel. I'd probably get a microfiber cloth, would be better. Kitchen towel's not got a lot of body to it. So that's the illustration. Excuse the noise of baby compressor. That's why I don't use it. They make too much noise. We're going to try, I'll clean the brush out and we'll try a little bit of FW inks. Just clean this illustration out. Again, look, 20 psi, lays down really nice on this. So you can really build it up, running out of air. Excuse the noise. Bit close spidering. This is a very thin mix because mine are mixed with isopropanol and water. So again, sprays really nice. Let's get an eraser. Again, erasing into it. Now the FW bonds down to this a little bit better, but you can erase on it. You can knock it back, you can get them soft. See? Tiny little erasing textures. You'll get the same with your scalpels, for the real fine hairlines, not a problem. And then the same again if you use, this is going to be messy now because I keep wiping it. You can wipe it off like that and give it a good clean up. Again, Liquitex, again lays down on it really nice. You can just build it up like that. Go in, not dry back a bit, and again, this is an ink eraser, this is a very hard point eraser. Again, you can get into the paint. I'm digging in on this. It's doing it, the tip of that's quite dirty now. But again, you can erase back on it, you can take it back, not a problem, and you can get your scratch backs on it again. So the inks work absolutely fine. Createx Illustration's the one, guys, if you want to go down the photorealistic route. Illustration came off this the easiest, but the other two did as well. One was Liquitex Mix 1:1, And the FW, my FW's got isopropanol and water mix in it, and it erased back on that. The only other paint that I've sort of got is golden high flow. Right, I'll give the paper a clean again. Isopropanol, just wiped it down. Now I've got golden high flow, shading grey transparent. And this is watered down. You're probably not going to really see this. I can't hammer it too much because this will, you see that going down. Just building it up. This will stay wet on the panel. So I'm just going to leave this to just sort of dry down a bit, because this is thinned out and it is a transparent. So that's golden eye flow on there. This will probably smudge now because it's still wet. But again, you can go straight in. This will dry down and you can knock back like that. And this is a soft eraser. This paint's very wet. You see that? It's taken a while to dry down. But golden will work on this, and you will be able to knock golden back on this, not a problem. You'll be able to do the textures in it. You're doing little hair textures like that, you can come in like that, not a problem. This is a soft eraser and it's just pulling the paint straight across because it's wet. But golden eye flow, not a problem on here. And you could use your airbrush cleaner on this to clean it up. I'm just using, you see that it's smudging now. I'm just using ISO, probably should just use straight water with that to clean it. But it will come off, we'll give that a clean up in a bit. But it does work. So I think illustration's brilliant on it, worked really, really well. Absolutely brilliant. FW inks with my mix with the water and ISO worked absolutely fine. Liquitex works really nice on it as well. And I was sort of loading them colours up. When you work and you're doing your photorealistic work on things like this, you are going to come down on your pressure. You're going to be working low pressure and you're going to be building these sort of portraits or images that you're doing on this type of illustration sheet. You can be working a lot slower because you're going right in on details and you're manipulating the paint. But it is a great one to work with, guys. It really is. And it is thick. You can hear that. It's very thick. Both sides are nice. You can clean it down and it does the job. So there you go. There's a little test. I think it's a great substrate, guys. It really is, and it's an affordable price as well, because some of these really synthetic papers can work out a lot of money. This is coming in at a good price. You've seen it clean it down and hit it with the paints and that I use. So it works for me with them paints, and a lot of the paints that I've got everyone's using. So a brilliant substrate to work on if you want to go down and get them real nice textures and manipulate the paint. There's a link in the description, guys. Go check it out. Thanks for watching. Just remember, enjoy whatever substrate you're painting on. Just enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Cheers.